Hello and welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. My name is Scott and I'm here to talk SmackDown tonight live from Berlin. It's not just me though. We're going to have Lucas join us very soon to let us know what the atmosphere is like out there in Berlin as well. We're going to be covering the SmackDown Go Home show in depth, reacting to everything that happens tonight as we gear ourselves up fully for Bash in Berlin weekend. So stick with us. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
All right, once again, welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling Channel. I'm Scott and I'm here to guide you through tonight's SmackDown show. I'm sure it's going to be a big one. It's shaping up to be an interesting card already. I wasn't sure until recently, but apparently the LA Knight US Open Challenge match is happening tonight on SmackDown, not at Bash in Berlin. So if you haven't already, check out the rest of our content on this channel where we've been talking Bash in Berlin all weekend. We're going to be going live tomorrow night with our build-up show, and then straight after the event itself, coming back with an instant reaction review as well. We've also hit our kind of predictions earlier on in the week, and that's on this channel as well. But here we are though, talking SmackDown. This is your SmackDown watch along for the 30th of August 2024, coming to you live from Berlin. Well, I'm not from Berlin, but the show is going to be from Berlin, and so is Lucas from this very channel. He's over there in Berlin. I'm very jealous because, as you can imagine, I would love to be out there in Berlin, but I thought I'd bring a bit of Berlin to us here on the channel anyway from London. And yeah, it's going to be a good one tonight. We're going to be breaking down everything that we see on the show and getting ourselves hyped up for tomorrow's big event, of course, Bash in Berlin. As I say though, Lucas is actually out there in Berlin, so he's going to be dropping in just a moment to let us know kind of what the atmosphere is like out there in Germany. But we want to know, what are you looking forward to not only tomorrow in Berlin with as far as Bash in Berlin and PLE goes, but what are you most looking forward to tonight? What do you think we're going to see as far as some of these feuds kind of wrapping up before we get into the main event itself tomorrow evening? But of course, as I mentioned just a moment ago, we've got a huge match tonight, and it could be a potential for a huge moment tonight as well, because we see LA Knight is going to be defending his US title against, well, we don't know, do we? It's going to be a mystery. Looking forward to seeing what they do here. Of course, a lot of rumors going around that it could be someone like Ludwig Kaiser, being that he is German. It could be Ilya Dragunov, being that he is, I guess, at least European and spent some time over there in Germany. And then you've got potential people like Santos Escobar that Dan mentioned earlier on this week in our original predictions as well. But I mentioned just a moment ago, although I am back here in England with a Stein pretending I'm in Germany, Lucas is actually out there in Berlin himself. So what we're going to do now, we're going to throw over to Lucas, who's going to kind of fill us in from his point of view in Germany.
What is up, guys? Lucas here, reporting from Berlin as we're about to leave for Friday Night SmackDown, which at time of recording this has two things that are confirmed for it. We have seen lots of wrestling fans going around Berlin, which is quite interesting because Berlin's quite a interesting city to kind of have this clash, really, of wrestling fans meets, this historic city. We've enjoyed seeing Checkpoint Charlie and many other sites today. But anyway, tonight, SmackDown, we understand we have a match which I really thought they had put on the pay-per-view. That is LA Knight US Title Open Challenge. And surely they've got to go for the European feel, haven't they? They've got to go for the European feel. And I believe the person who should answer this is none other than Ilya Dragunov. I believe this will be one fantastic match, a really good spotlight for him, in his somewhat home territory. I don't want to kind of upset political boundaries there. It'd be a fantastic match. I don't see him winning. Obviously, LA recently just only won the championship off Logan Paul, but I think that'd be a cracker with pop. and the reaction for the show. Also announced, we have Queen of the Ring and current Women's Champion Nia Jax taking on Mia Yim in a street fight. Now Mia Yim, you know, she went down to NXT. She did some real good kind of street fights, you know, Jade alongside with Jada Parker, who actually is competing this weekend in America, the NXT Women's Championship. But yeah, I think this would be a cracking contest, but I don't see anyone beating the Queen. Anyway, let's get to the Uber Arena for night 1 of our 2-night stay here in Berlin. See you soon.
All right, thank you very much to Lucas for joining us from Berlin. As I said, we've got the ears and the eyes on the ground out there in Germany for this big weekend in WWE. As you mentioned, though, 2 huge matches somewhat announced. We've already touched on a little bit there, LA Knight and the potential for a surprise there. Well, it's going to be a surprise either way because we don't know who it is, right? But the potential for a big pop at least. We've also got, as you mentioned, a street fight between Mia Yim and Nia Jax, the Queen of the Ring. But not just Queen of the Ring, of course, WWE Women's Champion. So be interested to see what happens between the two of those tonight as well. We're about 5 minutes away from SmackDown kicking off live from Berlin's Uber Arena. As you heard, Lucas is on his way over there right now. And hopefully we get some more updates from him throughout the night on this stream as well. Once again, though, we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We're going to be live tomorrow night covering Bash in Berlin in depth as well with our build-up show. It's basically the way to get us and you in the mood for Bash in Berlin. We do it for every PLE, and it's become quite the tradition on this channel. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. And then straight after the show goes off the air, we're going to have the instant reaction review as well. Thank you to everyone that joined us earlier on tonight, I should say. Those who were with us on the watch along. We were here for the watch along of the kickoff show. It was a great show. It was exactly what you expect these days, though. Nothing really major to progress the storyline, but nice to see the guys go out there and kind of have a bit of a free-for-all on the microphone, essentially. Especially people like Drew McIntyre, who you can tell feels very comfortable and loose in that kind of environment. So, yeah, really enjoyable there. We saw Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, of course, 2 guys from Raw. And we saw, again, more people from Raw, really. There was no SmackDown representation now that I think about it, I guess because of the show tonight. But you had the Terror Twins coming out to confront Liv and Dominic, who scarpered very quickly when that music hit. So 2 matches I'm really excited for tomorrow. Just to quickly run down the card at G4 Bash in Berlin. Of course, we've got the Terror Twins versus the Judgment Day, as we've mentioned. We've got Gunther versus Randy Orton. Of course, we saw both of those earlier on as well. And CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. But again, people we didn't hear from, but I'm sure we'll see on tonight's SmackDown. We've got Kevin Owens taking on Cody Rhodes for the title. And then you've also got the women's tag titles on the line. Jade, Cargill and Bianca Belair going up against Fyre and Dawn to try and get those titles back. That will be happening tomorrow at Bash in Berlin. But as I say, I'm sure we're going to get some sort of interaction between these people on tonight's show. I guess there's a chance we'll see Gunther again. Or maybe they'll hold off. That's the thing about these SmackDowns in the location of the PLE, I feel. It kind of sometimes takes away from that first big moment where the fans were craving and wanted to see the entrance. You know, I felt the same way when we had Montreal for Sami Zayn at Elimination Chamber earlier on in the year. That was last year now. Wow. But still, it does kind of take away from that in some way. But it's also, I think I'm saying last month on SummerSlam, like these SmackDowns before the PLE kind of feel like mega build-up shows, or mega build-ups, I should say pre-shows, mega pre-shows, you know, because you don't have matches on the pre-show anymore. So they've kind of taken that place now, which is a shame because I do think there's space for matches on the pre-show. There's so many gifted wrestlers on the card not getting the chance to shine. And unfortunately, with these 5-match cards, it feels like the same people getting in kind of every month. It's not always the case, but some of these matches, when these feuds go for 2 to 3 to 4 PLEs, it's going to happen. So that's one kind of match slot taken up for potentially, 2 to 4 maybe in that, whether it's a tag or a singles match or a triple threat. Essentially, there's a few people not being able to get on that card because a repeat's happening. But let's see what happens tonight. Again, I do feel like these are kind of pre-shows these days. But that's given a new dynamic to, I think, the SmackDown Go Home show. The Raw Go Home show is, of course, in the books now as well. Pretty good Raw from what I saw the other day as well. I don't know if it changed my predictions on anything. I think I'm pretty set in stone. But again, join us for our build-up show tomorrow night where we'll be breaking down each and every one of these matches and, of course, reacting to what's happened tonight at SmackDown as well. So wherever you're tuning in from around the world, we appreciate you. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good time. And hope you enjoy tonight's SmackDown as well. Please let us know where you are tuning in from around the world. Would love to kind of get to know you guys a little bit more. Would love it if you subscribed and joined us on this journey as well. But let us know as well what you think is going to happen. Not just tonight, but also a Bash in Berlin, of course. We want to know your thoughts and feelings on the card and things like that. Again, it's a big, big weekend for WWE going to yet another new international territory. In the modern era, at least, and in the PLE kind of form, they mentioned, of course, on the kickoff how they had previously run shows in Germany 27 years ago. I think they said it was 1997. That sounds about right. That was 27 years ago, and we saw the King of the Ring. Excuse me, not the King of the Ring. The European Champion crowned in a tournament is where my brain was going there. But yeah. Good to see him going back to Germany. Again, gutted I couldn't be there myself, but I'm glad we've got Lucas out there in the field covering Bash in Berlin for us as well. Here we go, though. SmackDown looks like it is just about to get underway. It always feels a bit cheeky watching these live right before the North Americans can watch it because they're getting it tonight. I don't think there's a live option for Americans unless you've found other means. I don't think there's a official way to do it. I'll put it that way. But I'm sure there are some North Americans out there watching live at the moment. Here we go. Shots of Berlin here. All right, and now we see Cody Rhodes walking with a big old security guard. Don't know what that's all about, but all right. Kevin Owens wearing the Sami Zayn t-shirt. They're face-to-face tonight. I'm sure they'll continue to hint at a heel turn. I don't think we are going to get, and I don't think we should get, because as I keep saying, I think it should be Randy that turns on Cody. But then, judging by the way they book Cody, they just want everything to go against him all the time. It's never enough. You know, when they let him be kind of injured, fake injured, even if he'd already had a storyline where he was real injured, and I don't know. Overcoming Brock and stuff like that to get back to the top. There we go. What's happening first? LA Knight. Oh, okay. First thing we're going to see is the LA Knight US title open challenge. I did not expect this. I actually felt like this should be the main event or like middle of the show at least. So let's see who the surprise is going to be. And this is going to be an interesting one because LA Knight, of course, being a babyface, usually a surprise is someone to get the fans up on their feet. So it'd be disappointing if it was kind of your regular old kind of heel already on the roster unrelated to Germany, you know? So we'll see how we go. I like this new version of his theme, by the way. A few more guitars. Great. Again, even when you go to these international places, they're so excited to see LA Knight still. There we go. Some German announcers here as well. Looking forward to this one. I mean, who's it going to be? Surely, Ludwig Kaiser. I think that top of the list for me, Ludwig. Ilya Dragunov second. And beyond that, I don't know. As I say, Dan predicted Santos Escobar. I guess they've been in a feud, but surely this is about the surprise. And just like with Gunther and Randy Orton, you've got to have someone strong enough to kind of take the hit as the babyface. So we'll see if that happens with LA Knight. Because they're going to cheer Ludwig or Ilya, whoever it may be. Unless it is, again, the only other option is kind of, oh, okay, is it them? As LA says, 27 years since that Raw we mentioned earlier on. And whoever it is not going to win the title, surely. Like, the pop will be the person coming out, not the win. Because it'd be weird if a heel won the US title in Germany. Let's see that. So only last week did he put the title up and defend it successfully. So it's very soon for him to lose it. You deserve it chant there from the fans in the Uber Arena. They're very much on his side. I wonder where Lucas is. I should be looking out for him, right? Oh, he's on the Capitol run then. Does it in the US Capitol now and the German Capitol. The Capitol Championship. There we go. Open challenge. All right, who's it going to be? Ludwig Kaiser. Good. Good. That's who it should be. But it should be on the PLE. But good. What a moment. I mean, when they first announced this PLE, I thought, I'll be on the card. Like, how have they not done that? But anyway, let's enjoy what it is. All right, so Ludwig's laying down the challenge. Says you want to defend that against the very best all over the world. It's weird seeing him act as a babyface, basically. Get the cheap pop. Me and the entire Berlin. There we go. Oh, I had a feeling they'd do this. Ludwig is hinting that, well, he's saying straight up, if he wins the title, he's going to turn it into the European title. Which I think, look, they toyed around with that idea a few years ago, didn't they, with Rusev, and that he was going to turn it into the US into the European. I don't like the idea of turning the title into another. AEW have been doing it to death recently, and that's not a knock on AEW. I enjoy the product sometimes. But, come on. Oh, LA's gone looking for the Stooge. But, I mean, he should have his own. European Championship had its own lineage. It was his own thing. This is a bit weird that they've just had a chat. Is the match later on? Is that what's going on? Because surely there's an ad soon, right? All right, there's the music. Okay, so the match is not even happening. Okay. Oh, it's next though. Okay, there's that at least, I guess. Strange. Yeah, it could have been a big moment on the PLE, if I'm honest. But cool. Good start to SmackDown, I guess. If it was a regular SmackDown, but that's the thing, it's not a regular SmackDown, is it? So a little bit of a shame with that. Either way, guys, what are you thinking of SmackDown so far? Are you with me? Thinking that this should have just been on the PLE? Or do you think this is the right place for it? Bit weird for them to come out of a little promo battle and then have a break, and then like the heat should have just been there. Music hits, boom, I'm there. It's me versus you. I'm German, but maybe I'll win it in Germany. Whereas I feel like the crowd and us sitting at home are going to start going dip, 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 and the hype's not going to be there unless he wins it. Which, again, as much as I love Ludwig, and I think it'd be a great moment, it's not right for LA Knight, is it? It took LA Knight ages to win this title, to win a title, you know? So I can't see him taking it off of him. So, yeah. All right, in the meantime, while they're showing ads, let's show a few of our own and talk about the fact that you can check out our predictions for Bash in Berlin if you haven't already. Check them out on this channel. Released as a main video, but also released separately as shorts if that's your sort of thing instead. And sticking with Bash in Berlin content, we'll be back live tomorrow night on Saturday to give you a build-up preview of Bash in Berlin again. What we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves and yourselves hyped up for the big show, as we tend to do every PLE on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And we'll be breaking it down match by match. Then, once the show is in the books, we're going to be coming back live for the instant reaction review. And again, match by match, we'll be going through it all and talk about the biggest moments as well. Now, will one of those big moments involve a title change where the Austrian Gunther loses to Randy Orton? No, in my opinion. But join us for a reaction, and maybe a shocked reaction from me if it does happen. We've got the CM Punk Drew McIntyre strap match to talk about. We've got the women's tag titles to talk about, and we've got Kevin Owens going up against his friend Cody Rhodes, but also the Terror Twins, talking about friends, going up against enemies now in Liv Morgan and former friend Dominic Mysterio from the Judgment Day. We've also got a lot more on this channel to tell you about. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We've got interviews with people like Rhea Ripley, interviews with the likes of Bianca Belair, and we've had some great watch-alongs in the past. Just like this one, we've had the opportunity to watch along classic PLE such as Survivor Series 2002, ECW One Night Stand, SummerSlam 92, and SummerSlam 2002. If you haven't already, once again, please subscribe and you'll get more content like that coming your way. But we are back with SmackDown now. We can see the matches underway. LA Knight, Ludwig Kaiser, US title on the line again. While it was the opponent I expected, it's not the kind of format I guess I expected they'd put it in. Great chance there for Ludwig, as you would imagine. And I think this will be a pretty fun match. But I just think there's an hour and 45 minutes after this, from this point onwards. This match will probably go to the next break. Maybe a little bit longer, because it is a big moment for Ludwig. But how do they feel the other hour and 20? When you've taken away such a big moment, in my opinion. Not taken away, we're still getting it, don't get me wrong, but yeah. Yeah, as Wade Barrett points out there, it's not a familiar territory for LA Knight. These days, at least, he's not the crowd favorite in this match. Another note from Cole about Westside Extreme Wrestling again. WXW, a big part of the European scene, not just German scene. And of course, Ludwig got quite the history in Germany. Second generation wrestler. It would be crazy if Ludwig was US champ and Gunther was world champ. Like, I'd be okay with that. It'd be frustrating that LA lost the title, don't get me wrong, but maybe that's a timing thing, really. Because other than that, I'd be happy with it. LA Knight now in control. Ludwig in the corner. I mean, they've got to have a few near falls, right? It's got to get quite close. It's got to look like LA could do it. Ludwig could do it. There again, talking about Ludwig's history. Nice to hear Alex Wright as well. I mean, that's a good point. Could we? Is there a possibility, guys, that Alex Wright shows up tonight? That's a nice rhyme. Or tomorrow night, also a rhyme. So that could work as well. But yeah, Alex Wright would be a lovely touch. I don't know how much international fans in 2024 would get from that, but surely the fans in Berlin would pop massively. It kind of reminds me of when, here we are, another break. So yeah, that's going to a third break. Wow, these are very quick together, aren't they, these ads? When Carlito came back in Puerto Rico, for example, Amazing. So we're back on the ads now. We are in the middle of the match between LA Knight and Ludwig Kaiser. That is the opponent that many of us expected. And you know what? It's not a bad thing, is it? When it's predictable, it's okay. That's all right. Sometimes that's all you need. But yeah, I think it's the one that everybody wanted to see as well. I know Ilya Dragunov was the kind of next one. But for me, I'm happy with it. It's probably the person that most made sense, the person that deserved it. I'd love to tell you what's going on in the match, guys, but it's gone to a break. Probably a headlock, let's be honest. Now, while we wait, actually, I've been sent a video by Lucas from the venue. So let's have a little look at this and see what the atmosphere is like at the moment inside the Uber Arena for SmackDown. As you can see, very much behind LA Knight, because that video taken before Ludwig answered the challenge. But like I said earlier on with Randy Orton as well, and it's a different scenario, of course, with Randy. He's way more kind of, I guess, comfortable in his position. He's a legend. But at the same time, I think LA Knight is so over that you can risk putting a babyface like him up against a heel who's massively going to be over in his home country, you know? But yeah, great from Lucas to send that over. And we hope to give you some more updates throughout the night to let you know kind of what it's like to be there in Berlin at the moment. I'm bringing it to you from England. He's bringing it to you from Germany. Where do you get content like that, guys? Stick with us on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. But Ludwig's in control now. We're back live on SmackDown. He's going straight after LA Knight. See, now we're getting the chance. This is what I like. This is what I like, man. I mean, European fans anyway, you know, we've got the football kind of inspired theme chants. But then even hearing ones like this, I don't understand. It literally feels like a Champions League night. So, I don't know what they're saying. Sometimes I recognize the pattern of the song. But yeah, it feels cool. Big chance for Ludwig. LA's in control now, whacking Ludwig's head off of the announce table. Will we get an announce table break tonight, guys? We've got two of them there because the Spanish, I say the Spanish, that's so kind of second nature to say that, right? That's the one that usually gets battered, back in the day at least. We've got the German announcers there. The German announce table is there for the event, of course, which is always nice to see as well. And they're not very much in control. Yeah, Michael Cole makes a good point there. If Ludwig wins, You'd feel like that gives a bit of momentum, right, to Imperium as they are. Again, it's so strange because when we interviewed them just before Clash at the Castle, they were being referred to as Imperium again, and it felt odd because it was only the two of them. And then Giovanni Vinci came back at Clash, and you're like, oh, that makes sense now. And now he's gone again. And in that time, you know, Ludwig's kind of stepped away. He's done his own thing a bit lately, but until Gunther won the title, and of course they kind of came back together on screen a little bit again. But I don't know why they kicked out Ludwig, Giovanni even. I think that was another kind of possible theory that he would answer this challenge tonight. But yeah, not the case. What do you think of SmackDown so far, guys? Let me know in the comments. Are you enjoying the show? Of course, later on, we still have the women's street fight coming up, Nia Jax versus Michin. But right now, we are on the US Open Challenge match for LA Knight. And if you haven't seen it already, the answer was kind of, the call was answered, is what I'm trying to say, by Ludwig Kaiser. Just me here tonight, guys. Thank you so much for joining me, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate that some of you may be watching this in a few hours' time, at least, because it's not on live where you live. But thank you so much for joining us and letting us be your companion to the show. Ludwig got close there with a little schoolboy roll-up. But as I say, it's not just me, though, in England. We have got Lucas out there in Berlin sending us updates as well. So do stick with us. A Miroslav Klose reference by Wade Barrett. Oh, a close one there again. Ludwig's really playing up to the crowd, as you would imagine. But he's not going to do it. I mean, it does remind me of like when we've gone to, again, Clash, for example, the first one when Drew came so close, and then the second one in Glasgow as well. I weren't there, but you hear from the fans who felt the same way, essentially, of like being kind of cheated because the hometown guy didn't get the big one when they really deserved it. Now, Ludwig, while I think he could definitely win an IC title or a US title here, well, it's over. I was going to say, while he is of that level, it doesn't make sense at the moment for LA Knight to lose it. So I don't think it's too much for the fans to be upset about, because I don't think they should have expected him to win it. It was a nice moment for him to kind of get this match, which he deserves, in front of home fans. It should have been on the PLE, and I'm sure it would have been, not that it was a bad match, it was a TV match. That's the thing. It was a good TV match. But I think it would have been a bigger deal and a better match on the PLE. But they're very much in this five-match card format. So, but yeah, LA Knight comes away with the win. The Open Challenge is no more. And let's see what LA Knight does next with it. And I do think he should have a lengthy-ish reign. We've had a lot of long reigns recently. I know Lucas has been saying that he's not a big fan of everybody having a long reign. And we definitely had a period recently where that was the case. But let's see where this one goes. Okay, Dallas Cowboys training camp we're going to see now. Trying to hit the RKO. Didn't quite work out there. Hey, man, if you're WWE, why not run with this sort of stuff? You know what I mean? Why not? Take advantage of it. You're part of pop culture. Nice little segue. Will we see an RKO tomorrow? As I said on the kickoff show earlier, again, thank you to everyone that joined us for that watch along. I saw this clip the other day, Gunther, he might even show it now, where he was training his neck, saying that, you know, wrestlers need to train their neck anyway, which is true. But he was doing these extra kind of routines to protect himself if an RKO was hit. And I really like that. Because he's a realist. An RKO can be hit out of nowhere. But he's trying to say, look, and if it happens, I'm ready for it. So as we watch the Gunther promotional video, whoa, hold on a minute. They are acknowledging the lineage of the World Heavyweight Championship there. I'm not sure if they've done that before. They've kind of alluded to it sometimes, and they've also made it definitely feel like a brand new title at times, even though it has the same name and a similar look to the last kind of incarnation of it. But that was straight up a reference to the past. And I think it works with Gunther because he is, you know, the mat is sacred, he's the ring general and all this kind of stuff. And he's talking about earlier on the kickoff how it's the most important championship. And while it definitely feels like number 2, let's be honest, there's a chance it will become number 1. And that was the case when we did have 2 world titles in WWE before. But essentially what they showed there was the history of the title. We saw Ric Flair, we saw Harley Race. We didn't just see it, not just as the big gold, by the way, in WCW and the World Heavyweight, the smaller, I guess, curvature version in WWE. We also saw Harley Race and the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship, the 10 pounds of gold, which is a big statement. I mean, that is the lineage that they kind of acted like the World Heavyweight Championship took on before anyway, the WCW title. And there's a real confusion in the early 90s between the WCW title, what was the international title, the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, because that was a bit of a mess essentially, which was the same thing in WWE, it was the same thing in ECW, it was the same thing in TNA when they either withdrew or the company kind of threw it back towards them. But again, with the World Heavyweight Championship, they did make a point before of making it seem like it was that lineage, even if the NWA one continues elsewhere. This title also came from that, and they're saying that again. This is that historic title to WWE, at least at the moment, which is great because that's how it should be. They brought back a title that looked like the big gold, that had the same name as the big gold, and they acted like it was brand new, and it really bugged me. But that could have just simply been to, at the time, make it seem like a big deal. Whereas wrestling fans like myself and people that have been watching it for quite some time, or people into the history of wrestling, we would have liked to have been told, and it had been acknowledged that this was the former championship, coming back. But maybe they saw it as kind of, we'll talk about that history when it matters, and at the moment, we'll make it seem like a big deal by saying it's a new belt. But either way, good to see it acknowledged as the same title. All right, back to the action. Who's this? This Final Testament, is it? No? Who's that? Oh, Baron Corbin with his 58th theme song that I did not recognize. Him and Apollo Crews. Look, guys, I'll be honest. If you're joining me for a watch-along, we don't do this every week, and I do not watch the weekly shows every week. I mainly catch up with highlights and stuff like that. But I imagine, even if I had watched them, I might not have seen much of this team because I had no idea these two were teaming together. It's not a team I would predict, but cool. I'm ready to see it. I'm a fan of both guys. Well, there's a photo of them together there, so I assume they have teamed before. They're treating them like they have. Again, apologies. I do not keep up as much as I would like to with the weekly shows. They are far too long, especially Monday Night Raw. It's 3 hours. But the highlights, my goodness, are they good these days, So, but clearly, these guys not been used on the highlights because I have not seen these guys work together. But looking forward to it. 2 guys that were sent back to NXT. So I haven't really seen much of either of them for a while. And this is the thing as well. This is the problem, as I said earlier on, with the 5-match card PLEs. Like, there's just so many wrestlers you don't get to see. like the pre-show would be so good to put wrestlers on. I know there's that kind of stigma of that match is on the pre-show, but like it's better than being on kind of like just not on the card at all, right? In my opinion, that's the way I say it. But again, I do see these SmackDowns before the PLEs now in the same towns as pre-shows themselves. So it's strange. We're in a weird kind of transitional period, I feel, for WWE, and it's kind of not just the kind of the way it's run, obviously, but the way it's produced and put out there. We've changed the pre-show to the countdown show. They've become longer with no matches. The kickoff is now the name of the show the night before. Of course, we did the watch-along for that earlier on. And then they also, to be fair as well, continue to stay live on certain platforms as soon as the show ends. And you get like fallout. You don't just get... They were doing a press conference, but now you get kind of in-character stuff where they go to the pre-show panel again, and then they go to the commentators, and then they go to the press conference, and then they have interviews. It's kind of all over the place. But still, good. I think it needs a bit of fine-tuning, but I'm liking the fact that they're doing all this stuff. So, guys, once again, thank you for joining us tonight. Whether it's live or in a few hours' time, when I know it's going to be replayed across the world, we appreciate you. So, what we get now? Nia Jax promo. Okay, so I mean, if this match is now, we've got two things that are advertised are done within 45 minutes, maybe. Quite interesting. So once again, thank you for joining us live on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott. I'm here in England doing a watch-along for SmackDown, but we do have a live correspondence in the form of Lucas, who is out there in Germany right now. As you can see, a packed house in Berlin. Great setup for the venue. And I'm sure a really enjoyable show to see live. I can only imagine what the atmosphere was like when Ludwig Kaiser got close 2 or 3 times, as we saw just a moment ago. Lucas also sent us over the reaction to LA Knight's entrance as well. All in all, a good SmackDown so far. I've enjoyed this. The kickoff show, as I said earlier on, was a good show as well. Thank you to everyone that joined us on that. If you haven't already, if you've got some time, if you want to hear my thoughts on what we saw on the kickoff show, then check out our watch along as well, where we dive into kind of all the promos that we saw. And that was pretty interesting. Like I say, it was really cool to see Damian and Rhea act the same as they did last month, but like justified this time because they're baby faces out of the Judgment Day. You also saw a great face-off between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and Gunther versus Randy Orton was hyped quite well as well. All right, so the Center Street Fight is going to be tonight. So it's not just yet. So later on tonight, we will see Michin versus Nia Jax, the Queen of the Ring, the Women's Champion. Right now, we've got Legado del Fantasma down by the ring. You've also got, so the team are now Los Garza. They've got their own names separate to Legado del Fantasma. Some people were speculating whether that meant a separation from them. Really, it just means that is the name of the team, which is what I'm glad to see, because I think Santos Escobar needs the stable, and they need Santos Escobar. So the stable makes sense, but giving them a name makes sense as well beyond that. Like the New Age Outlaws in the Generation X, the way I kind of see it. So as a naming kind of thing. I'm not calling these the modern day DX. Don't get me wrong before anyone gets excited. But here we go. The match is underway. Santos Escobar looking mean on the outside. As we mentioned, when we were talking about our predictions from the other day, Dan did say that he thought that maybe Santos Escobar would be the one to answer the challenge for LA Knight. And while that made sense storyline-wise, I get where he was coming from because they are pretty much in and out of feuding these days. I think that, Germany made sense, right, for a surprise, especially who it ended up being, Ludwig Kaiser. But here we got the tag team match now. Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo versus Baron Corbin in the ring at the moment. Who is... Whoa! Whoa, that was pretty cool from Baron. Flipped up, springboarded back off the ropes, came out of their hold into a double clothesline. Nice from Baron Corbin. Really hyping up the history of the Mexicans here, which I think you should, and I think WWE, to their credit, are good at that. And you know where he comes from, Triple H, student of the game. He did the same in NXT. He wasn't afraid of telling people this is where these people used to be and this is why this storyline makes sense. Do you know what I mean? But again, even to their credit, WWE before that on the main roster were also doing that with things like AJ and Finn hinting about the Bullet Club and whatever else. So either way, we're in a better position than we were about 10, 15 years ago when it comes to acknowledging the outside world of WWE. Even though, ironically, as we said earlier on, they are more global than they've ever been. 27 years since they've been to Germany for a TV taping. That double taping back in 97, which again featured the European Championship Tournament final. British Bulldog, Owen Hart. What a legacy to leave behind, though, right? But they're back, though, 27 years later. And again, things are definitely feeling a little bit more global these days. So Corbin throws his own teammate flying out the ring onto... the Legado del Fantasma. But anyway, off to the break once again. So guys, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? That's what I want to know. And does anything you've seen tonight kind of change your opinion on tomorrow? I know we haven't seen anyone that's kind of related to any of the matches specifically, but do you feel like that first match should have been on the show? Do you think the show's going to, I don't want to say suffer, because you've still got 5 pretty cool matches, but could it be more if we had that match at a PLE quality on the PLE? Thanks to everyone that's joined us once again. We really do appreciate you. And those that joined us earlier on the watch along for the kickoff show as well. Had so much fun. We didn't even know we were going to do it at the time before we come back for SmackDown as well. I think I went a bit too fast with a big old Stein there. 2 liters. They have a good time over there in Germany, don't they? I'm trying to replicate it here in England. Like I say, I'm not quite in Berlin tonight, but I'm very pleased to say we do have representation, as I say, from Lucas out there in Germany as well. It's like a great show to see. And I remember when they did this in London just a little while ago for Money in the Bank. It was fantastic to see the likes of Pretty Deadly, for example, come out for the tag title match, KO and Sami Zayn. And I thought they were going to do it because I thought, it's London. They might do it. No, they don't. And eventually these patterns will catch up with WWE like they have in the past. It felt like things were fresh recently. You couldn't quite tell anymore. Like the old cliches felt like they'd gone. But we're starting to get these patterns again, aren't we? So they got to be careful with that. Back with a tag match now. Big fans of Corbin out there in Germany. What is next for someone like Corbin, though? What do you do with him? And Apollo Crews. Would it win tag team gold? Is that where we go with this? I mean, not everyone has to be a champion, don't get me wrong, but is that where we see their next and maybe final peak? Because you'd imagine as individuals, they'd be looking to kind of do things themselves, but at the moment, maybe just happy to be used, especially Apollo. I feel like Baron Corbin's done a little bit more in WWE. I'm not sure their ages, but I'm assuming Apollo Crews is younger and maybe looking for a little bit more. Let's have a little look at that. Apollo Crews is 37. Oh, he's 37. And Baron Corbin is 39. All right, at least I was right. All right. He's still 2 years older. Crews back in control. Apollo goes up to the top rope. And Gaza tries to stop him on Boto. An arm drag from the top rope. Kind of almost like a Spanish fly. Oh, Gaza in control. Whoa. Very... Yeah, you had to end it there. What a great shot. Lift up, smash into the face with a knee. It was almost like a two-person GTS. Well, that would make sense, right? You've just given them a new name. You're trying to... They've got a new look. They've got the same gear. They've got the scratches across the chest and stuff like that. Talking about their family history. It makes sense, right? Santos Escobar, the smug, you know what, right next to him. It's weird, though, because Santos here, he comes across as such a Try not to get in trouble from YouTube. Get back to that in a minute. Bloodline promo. So we're talking about the Bloodline now, the Street Profits and DIY for tag titles. Seeing the footage now of Jimmy being taken out, or Paul Heyman being taken out, and you got to feel like Heyman's got to come back. It's weird though, because I feel like Heyman should have come back with Roman, but I'm sure we've got a lot of big kind of twists and turns in this story. You know, Jimmy, Jay, Sammy, I would imagine, and I hope that is going to be the case. Maybe that's how we should do it. We should have Jimmy and Jay come back separately, and then Roman comes out, and then Paul Heyman comes out, and he says, ladies and gentlemen, the final member of the team, or whatever it may be, Sami Zayn. That'd be pretty cool, right? I mean, to their credit, they're stretching out the Bloodline thing for all it was worth and get the most out of it. Right, Cody and KO face-to-face up next. So we are about 51 minutes into SmackDown at the moment. Got about an hour and 10 to go. On the break there, let's get back to Santos Escobar. I was saying that he looked like a right, you know what I mean? I can't say it on there. But I'll be honest with you. Sorry to burst the bubble, but he's a lovely man. He's so nice. We got the chance to have a chat with him just a while ago where he was really kind with his time and told us about his time in WWE with his mask. When he was in LWO, Rey Mysterio, and his favorite Money in the Bank cash-in as well. Don't get me wrong, he was a good guy at the time. Maybe that's why he was so nice. Maybe if I met him today, he wouldn't be so kind. But honestly speaking, if we take a little peek behind the curtain, I just want to let you know what a nice man Santos Escobar is. We've also had some great conversations with fellow Brits, as we mentioned earlier on. Pretty Deadly. Had some good conversations with those guys as well. And if you haven't already, we've got some great interviews on this channel with the likes of Bianca, Belair, Imperium, of course, Goodfer and Ludwig being heavily featured this weekend as well. And we've also had the great opportunity to interview the likes of now former WWE superstar Bobby Lashley, who told us all about his experience with Brock Lesnar. So if you haven't already, guys, please subscribe, check out more of our content, and thank you so much for joining us, whether it be live or on demand. As I say, I appreciate that many of you may be watching this stream a few hours after we've recorded it because of the way that SmackDown is airing around the world. But thank you so much for choosing us either way. Once again, my name is Scott. I'm here in England, giving you the kind of lowdown as we watch SmackDown live. But we've also got Lucas out there in Germany, in the Uber Arena in Berlin as well. And as you can see, it's a pretty well-attended show tonight. Great atmosphere, as we saw earlier on from the video he sent us as well. Let's quickly get back to that. Let's give us a bit of an idea as to what's going on over there in Berlin. Once again, great stuff out there from Lucas. He sent us that update earlier on from his hotel. kind of letting us know what the atmosphere is like out there in Germany as well. He's saying it's quite strange to see this kind of mix between the historic city of Berlin and the wrestling fandom that takes over a city as well. I've had the privilege of going to a few great wrestling events over the years in cities that I'm really privileged to have been able to visit. Of course, here in the UK, places like London and Cardiff, but also had the privilege of going over to the States for WrestleMania a few times as well. And it really is amazing when you see the power of the WWE Universe, as they used to call it, taking over a city as well. So to be able to go to places like Berlin, to be able to go to places like Lyon a few months ago is great for fans. Again, not just for the locals that live in these spaces that are finally getting a PLE, but for those living in neighboring cities, neighboring towns, neighboring countries as well. And also, I guess, for Americans who, again, I say I've been over to the States a few times to watch WrestleMania. I'm sure there are wrestling fans, and I know of some that have come from the States to places like London for Money in a Bank, and again, Berlin tonight for SmackDown and Bash in Berlin tomorrow. So for me, it's a win-win all round. It makes WWE feel like this bigger brand, which, don't get me wrong, they're a massive brand, but I think it really emphasizes that when they go there and kind of meet the people that are supporting them. So here we go. Nick Aldis is about to grace us with his presence on SmackDown as well, back from the break. There we go. Get all the plugs in. Beautiful. Uber, Arena, SmackDown, Berlin. Got them all in. Okay. This feels like a promo you see before the show starts. This is a bit odd to put on SmackDown. Oh, okay, so it's just an intro to show a video of their WWE European tour, which I get. That's cool. But it makes a bit more sense now why he was basically like, I'm glad to be here in Berlin. There are some big matches happening, and that will shape the future of WWE. It makes sense now. I saw, we see there Bianca and Jade with the Belgian flag in Belgium, where they were saying they want a PLE. And I wouldn't be surprised if Belgium got a PLE now. Good for those in Europe. There's no way, I believe you can get a Eurostar there, so that's pretty good. And this is, I mean, it's great for people in mainland Germany, mainland Europe, I should say, to get to places like Germany, France, Spain, and so on, Belgium. But then you can go a little, further than that, beyond that, as far as, I know there are rumors next year of Italy. A bit of German there from Aldis as well. Here we go. It's going to be Cody and KO now. Here we go. Kevin Owens. It'll be interesting to see how they play this, won't it, guys? Because they are very much hinting that Kevin usually turns on people. He might turn heel. I don't mind that being the kind of background story of the feud, but I don't want that to be what happens. Not for Kevin's sake. I'm not like, I don't want him to be a heel or anything like that. He's a great heel. What I don't want is someone to turn on Cody when I think someone more important should be turning on Cody as far as Cody's history goes, and that's Randy Orton. And I don't want them both to do it because I think it devalues Randy's turn. But I feel like they might do both. There's a possibility they do both because, they spent that time building him up for a year. And even though we'd seen him literally have his arm explode, it seemed, with all those bruises, they put a fake injury storyline on. They let him get beat up by Brock because he could fight his way back and all this stuff. And we just didn't need it. But they seem almost obsessed with making Cody seem like this kind of everything's against me type character. Which, as much as I like Cody and I love the whole finish the story stuff, that's exactly my point. That's all it needed. Didn't need anything beyond that. And I'm a bit worried that we're going to get that here. Because they've got to be very careful. This is an issue that AEW fell into with Cody as well. Because as much as I think Cody deserves certain things and he's had a very interesting story, it's very easy for people to fall into the kind of, oh, he's a Nepo baby. He doesn't deserve it. He's always pushed to the front kind of stuff, which is not strictly true. There's somewhat truth in both sides of those things. Like, both those things can be true at the same time, because he was, as he says, kind of doing the Stardust stuff unhappy while his dad was grooming the next crop of talent in NXT. But at the same time, you can't deny that doors would have been open for him at the same time. So they need to be very careful in how they kind of present Cody to not overly make him. He's a mega babyface, and that is well earned. But they have to be careful that they don't shove him so far down people's throats that people backlash against it. And I'm not just saying because he wins or he's the champ, but these kind of like, oh my goodness, against all odds. Like, how many times can it be against all odds? Sometimes it's just going to be because he's really good, right? Big old woe. Yeah, even this storyline, it starts in the kind of honorable, humble, good guy storyline of, I want to defend my title and you deserve it, buddy. Like, it does feel set up for the other guy to just turn heel. He's not winning. There's no chance that Kevin Owens is winning this title. That's the only way to accept it, to be honest, is if the heel turn was so crazy, evil, that he won the title, like, in a horrible way, so unjust. But what I don't want is him losing and going mad at the end of it. Like, I should have won that. Oh. Or, like, before it even ends, turning heel within the match, but not getting the result. It just would feel like a waste. But here we go. They're going to talk to each other, so let's see what they're going to say. Big match coming up tomorrow. I think it'll be enjoyable. I just think it's got to be an obvious result, surely. But let's see what they got to say. What do you want to talk about from Kevin Owens? I like that Kevin has been so kind of aware of TV shows. Like, going, we usually do this, then we do that, then the match is made, and da-da-da. Very funny. Am I hearing a Cody sucks in the background? And that was a Cody Rhodes chant, but it did feel like the start of it was a Cody sucks chant. Ooh, okay. Kevin's brought up that seems like Cody may have an injury. Cody says his knee's fine. That was weird. Cody's just moved it onto something else. Okay. Oh, yeah. So last week on SmackDown, they accidentally kind of bumped into each other. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Kevin looked like he was running at him, didn't he, with the title? He gave it to him. Well, they've acknowledged it. It don't matter. They're going to fight each other. I just want to know, are we friends before we fight, or do we not like each other before we fight? To be fair, I guess that would make a difference, because if you don't like each other, you're going to go a little bit more, fierce with it. I do like the whole thing with KO's like, everyone deserves to turn it on them, except for Kofi. I'm really sorry about that. Ooh, talking about his dad now. And he was one of those people in NXT, as we've mentioned. Ooh, okay. Wow. Oh, this is an interesting take. So I thought they were going to go down the Dusty line here, but they're basically saying, as Cody says, look, when I went out and did my own thing in 2015, 2016, as in left WWE, went to New Japan, Ring of Honor, formed AEW eventually, create this revolution, which he's basically saying this renaissance outside of WWE. They're acknowledging this big world outside WWE, which is great. That Kevin Owens doesn't get the kind of appreciation for that, because he laid the foundation for what was outside WWE to eventually grow when Cody got there, which is a really interesting point. He's going back to the knee, though. You don't want to talk about that. Oh, Kevin pointed out that he didn't go down to his knee on the entrance. If his knee was fine, he should have done it. 8 years ago, KO won the US Universal title. 8 years. It's getting heated up now. Cody's not happy with the kind of talk there with the whole when you beat me and if my knee's bad and all that. He's saying, no way. Knee's good. Oh, that's nice. Cody loves him. I mean, the talk is really stepping up now. Cody is just straight up fired up about this. I think you kind of need this though, right? It's hard to go into the match, even if Kevin's not going to turn, to have him kind of like respectful. You know what I mean? There needs to be some sort of animosity in some way, or, fired up and emotional at some point. Oh, Kevin's thrown down the mic. He's whispered something. He's walked out of the ring. His theme song hits, and that is it for the segment. I mean, like I say, it was interesting to see them talk about that kind of leaving WWE, setting up AEW, going to the Indies and all that when Kevin Owens had laid that groundwork. I actually thought they'd go in the opposite direction with what we touched on earlier on about how Cody was miserable in WWE, looking at people like Kevin Owens, given opportunity in NXT with his dad, coaching him. So interesting to see that that's not the route they took when it could have easily been that, and they've gone the opposite way. Backstage, though, we've got Cruz and Corbin with A-Town Down Under. Fury being set up by Grayson again. Oh, Austin Theory and Grayson are really starting to have a split between them. Excuse me, little sneeze there. So Grayson trying to pass it off as banter. Austin's not very happy about it, but it looks like he's going to accept it. See, this turn's going to be good. Like, Austin Theory would be a great babyface. If you've seen anything about Austin Theory in real life, you'll know he seems to be a lovely guy. The things he does for his fans, his younger fans and stuff like that. I've seen some amazing things online. But it's going to be turned at the right time in the right way. And this could be it. Andrade now on his way to the ring. wow. Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Again, like another one that, like maybe not on the pay-per-view. I don't know, man. Before it would have been, but maybe at least on the pre-show. Or even that feud we've just seen that. Like, when will that take the place of one of these other 5 matches on the next card? And what will those people do that are not on it? So it's kind of tough. All right, but anyway, now that we're on a break, it's time to tell you that we are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and we appreciate you joining us. We are a channel that does not only watch-alongs for events like this, we do build-up shows in the big PLEs and instant reaction reviews as well. Check out our TikTok at RN Pro Wrestling, and here on YouTube, of course, with shorts as well. And we've got some great interviews with WWE talent from the past as well. Some watch-alongs of historic PLEs. And again, we preview the upcoming ones as well. So for a little bit about us, check this out.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action. Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Well, welcome back to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Again, enjoying this SmackDown tonight. It's I think it's been a good one. It's been one that kind of you want to lead you into the PLE, right? As I keep saying, these new kind of international SmackDowns that are tied to, or at least kind of, because they're not really international. We had the same thing at SummerSlam, of course, a while ago as well. Either way, really, really good shows, but they do tend to feel like pre-shows in a way. But I guess that's what a go-home show should be. Anyway, enjoying it. So we've got Andrade coming up next. Before that, though, guys, I've got something more exciting for you. As I've been saying, I'm over here in England, but we do have Rebellious Noise representation in Germany. And I've got this brand new video in from Lucas, live from Berlin. So let's see what the atmosphere is like in the Uber Arena right now.
In my soul, every thought out of control. Do it all, get them all at peace. Crowd is here, about to blow. Wait for me to start the show. Out the car and back to up from home. Whoa!
Amazing. As you can tell, Lucas is having a great time over there in Berlin. But hey, catching up with the current show, we've got Carmelo Hayes making his way out to the ring now for, again, what looks to be a big match with Andrade, who's had quite an interesting return, right, to WWE. He's been used, I've got to say, quite well, presented in a good way. It's just weird when you think, like, you can't help but think he should have more because he was NXT champion. Do you know what I mean? There's still those little hang-ups from, I think, the old NXT that kind of confuse us when it comes to how people should be booked, because Baron Corbin was up there as well, and so was Alex Black, and he's in a different company. So, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, whatever it may be, Shinsuke Nakamura. So, here we go, straight into the match. But as you saw there, Luke is having a great time out there in Berlin. And wherever you are in the world, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate it. We're trying to bring the German flavor tonight with a big old Stein from me and the atmosphere from Lucas out there in the Uber Arena. But we are 1 hour 20 into SmackDown tonight, about 40 minutes left. Carmelo Hayes with a lovely springboard attack on Andrade there. Two guys that you can imagine would work well together, right? I think they said they're on like the 4th match between the two of them on SmackDown now. Great little series so far from what I've seen. And you feel like this is the kind of match, to be honest, that the German fans would appreciate, Wow, straight to a break. That was quick, wasn't it? But anyway, like I say, it looks like the kind of match that European fans would enjoy. I mean, I'm a European fan, but the European fan base tend to be a little bit more, I guess, generally speaking, traditional with their kind of wrestling opinions. I think because of the style wrestling that was big here. Even decades back, it was a different kind of wrestling. Very traditional, very technical. And while the American flashy stuff is great, don't get me wrong, I'm here reviewing the WWE show. There is something great about the kind of purity of, I guess, I sound like Gunther now, isn't it? The mat is sacred and all that, but the kind of, I don't know, the presentation of just like pro wrestling. Do you know what I mean? I love sports entertainment and all that, but I do feel like British fans, European fans, and general German fans here do kind of tend to enjoy the, as much as we enjoy the flair, the pomp and circumstance, we do enjoy the traditional aspect of pro wrestling. And I think getting that here, no, don't get me wrong, we're not looking at Daniel Bryan versus Nigel McGuinness here. We're looking at two guys that would be better suited to, I guess, with Andrade, the Mexican style. But even that has, you go to Japanese wrestling, you go to Mexican wrestling, you go to British wrestling. They're all very different, but they have this kind of linear connection with them that goes back to what you would have got in America years back. But yeah, I do think anytime you get like this style, or these sorts of styles at least, on a WWE show, European fans really kind of connect with it. So now here for Bash in Berlin, we're just over, a day away. Just under a day away. I think this time tomorrow would already be within the show itself. If you haven't already, guys, we'd love it if you could subscribe and join us with us tomorrow. We're going to be live before the PLE with our build-up show, getting on the kickoff earlier on. We've seen a representation of this match. We've seen Cody and KO have a chat. We've seen Gunther and Randy have a chat. We've seen Drew and McIntyre have a chat. What we haven't seen, though, is anything to do with the women's tag titles. It doesn't feel like the kind of thing they want to go home with. unless there's enough time here to do 2 segments, it feels like we might not see anything to do with them. I personally think what they should do is have them come up next and then Gunther close the show to get people excited about tomorrow. Even though we've seen him earlier tonight, even though he's a Raw guy, I do think it would make sense to to close the show on Gunther. Bring it back to what we got going on in the ring, though. Again, a very good match so far. Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. I nearly called him Andre Estrada. That was close. Carmelo's had an interesting time on the main roster, right? We talked earlier on about this kind of NXT effect, but didn't really mention him, who's come from the modern version of NXT. And kind of a case study, really, because not many people have come up from that yet. And him and Braun were basically the main guys for at least 2 years. Braun Breaker, of course, Intercontinental Champion. I think a lot of people expected Carmelo to have a similar rise just as quickly, maybe even quicker. And it's not happened. But he's having these good matches. But he does feel like he's presented as this like rookie that's come up. Big fish, small pond there. And when he comes over here, he's the same guy, but it will take people time to get used to him. It's almost like he's started again. And I do think that is the way that some of the NXT talents from the past should have been booked, by the way. Because sometimes they were put in as if they were going into the main event. But they'd already done this rise in NXT. And sometimes you don't want that rise again, but other times you're like, it'd be nice to see that again. I remember Bianca Belair, her character in NXT, for example. I think if she turned heel to be that kind of character that she first was in NXT, would work very well. But again, it is weird to see someone presented as kind of the main champion come in as, mid-card or lower mid-card or not used. But again, that makes sense. If you are in any other industry, let's say sport, any other sport, then you would be coming up, climbing the ranks, If you get promoted from the Championship into the Premier League, you probably ain't going to win the Premier League anytime soon. Leicester City is the exception, I guess. But, hey, that's for the Rebellious Noise football channel. But back to this match. It's all about pro wrestling tonight. So great action here. Is this going to be a Spanish Fly from the second row? Oh! Wow. Oh, I thought that was it. I really thought that was it. Wow. Okay, now we're off to a break. These breaks are too much. This is why I don't watch wrestling weekly shows. They're long shows, and the breaks make them worse. I can only imagine what Raw is like at the moment. I mean, I did a Raw watch-along a few months ago, I think, for the Raw after Mania. I mean, if there's any Raw to watch, that's the one, right? If you're going to watch it live. Carmen Jackson joins us. Hi, it's my first time on this channel. Thanks so much for joining us, Carmen. I really appreciate that. Hope you're looking forward to bashing Berlin tomorrow, and I hope you're enjoying SmackDown tonight. Thank you for the comment. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We are the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. We cover wrestling in depth, not just WWE. We try to go a little bit beyond that. We've got some great videos from this past week at All In, actually, on this channel as well. Check out our shorts. And we do get to interview WWE talent every now and then as well. Thank you, Carmen. We've got some great interviews on this channel with the likes of Bianca Belair. We've got the chance to interview Bailey in the past. We've also had great conversations with LA Knight, Zelina Vega. And would love to have you join us on board here as well. Now, tonight we're doing a watch-along with SmackDown. We don't do these often, I'll be honest. As I mentioned a moment ago, we did a Raw after Mania watch-along. We sometimes do watch-alongs of classic PLEs, so like SummerSlam 2003, for example. We also did Survivor Series 2002. But again, we have a whole range of content on this channel for those that are just joining us tonight. Would love to see you back Earlier on today, actually, we did a kickoff watch along. So if you've not watched the kickoff yet, you do want to see what those promos look like, I do encourage you to watch along with us on demand. You can still watch that video on this very channel as well. And tomorrow night, we'll be back for our build-up show, which is something we do for every PLE. We try and get ourselves and yourselves in the mood for the PLE by kind of breaking down all the last-minute rumors, and we kind of go over our predictions and stuff like that once again as well. With that in mind, we do have our original predictions video on this channel. So if you haven't checked that out and you want to know what I think a little bit more in depth with regards to these matches, then I do encourage you to give that one a watch as well. And then after the PLE goes off the air on Saturday night, we'll be coming live again with our instant reaction review. Like I said, we've got Lucas from the channel over there in Berlin tonight. He is in the Uber Arena, and he sent us some fun videos so far. So we hope to get a few more of those before we go off the air. And of course, we'll be doing the same tomorrow night when he joins us from Berlin once again to hopefully get us in the mood for Bash in Berlin at the Uber Arena as well. Carmen's going to go check it out. Thank you so much, buddy. I really do appreciate you joining us. And I hope you enjoyed SmackDown tonight. Was that another Spanish Fly? Was that one off the turnbuckle? Why'd they do another one? So we're just under a half hour away from the end of the show. It does feel like this match has got at least a few more minutes in it. But then there is time, as I say, especially with all these kind of ads that they do, to make it split into segments where you could have the women's tag title match featured and Gunther as well, because I do feel like that's the way to end the show tonight. But the women's tag titles have got no love tonight. I don't even think they've mentioned it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did go for the card when I was focused on chatting to you guys. But Cargill and Belair versus Fyre and Dawn doesn't seem to have got any kind of mention tonight. Very strange as well, of course, was the LA Knight match we saw tonight. Really did expect that to be on the PLE. I think a lot of us did. When he said Berlin, I think we expected Bash in Berlin, not SmackDown in Berlin. But hey, we got it tonight. Ludwig Kaiser did come out, didn't win the title. Probably good for LA Knight and for long-term booking, but still a great moment for Ludwig and the German fans to get the moment of him at least challenging, I guess. Ooh, Andrade onto the exposed turnbuckle there. Ain't looking good for Andrade. Oh, that's it. Carmelo Hayes has done it. Gets the victory with a very kind of defiant end to the match. Nice one. Let's hope this is the rise, really, of Carmelo on the main roster. Carmen says, do you know my sister in WWE? Who's your sister in WWE, Carmen? Who's your sister? Are they in WWE? Is that what you're saying? Is your sister a wrestler? Far from over, Michael Cole thinks. So when do we finish the feud? Surely that should get the PLE, right? Yeah, great match again. I feel like something that the fans in Berlin would have enjoyed. Carmen says their sister is a superstar. Carmen, let us know. Who is it? Come on, don't lead us on too far. Tell us, who is it? Oh, wait, I completely forgot. We've got Tiffany Stratton here in the clip from 2 weeks ago because you've got Nia Jax versus Michin. I forgot that was even a match. So we've got 25 minutes left. And, yeah, we're not going to touch on the two things I mentioned just a moment ago, at least one of them is getting cut, right? So that is very strange if we get nothing to do with the women's tag titles, because it was only made like a week ago. So it'd be very strange if that weren't even mentioned tonight. But hey ho, Gunther, I guess, is from Raw. We saw him on the kickoff show earlier on, so maybe holding back until tomorrow. As much as I said earlier on, I really do think that having someone come out on SmackDown and then on the PLE ruins that big moment. We only saw it at a kickoff, to be fair. So you still get that kind of arena pop, if you will, for Gunther's music hitting at the time. So Carmen, your sister is Bianca Belair. Is that true? Is that true? If that's the case, I've met your sister. I interviewed Bianca Belair just over a year ago, actually. I got to have a great conversation with Bianca, who was Raw Women's Champion at the time, and talked about the importance of representation and working with Triple H again as well. If you haven't already, go and check that out. But next up, though, we've got the current Women's Champion, Nia Jax, in the ring about to defend against Michin. Street fight. So this will be interesting to see how this one goes down. We've got, again, just under 25 minutes to go before the show is off the air. And then we start really gearing up for Bash in Berlin, I should say. Which, of course, is going to be tomorrow night. Again, just a few hours before the show kicks off, we're going to be going live with our build-up show, which should also feature some of our content from earlier on this week if you haven't already seen it. And then straight after the PLE, we're going to be hitting you with a instant reaction review, breaking down each and every one of the matches and what we think of the show in general. Before we get there, though, guys, if you haven't already, please check out our prediction show on this very channel. They are also broken down into individual predictions via shorts as well. So check that out if you haven't already. But like I say, we've got a huge show tomorrow night, and I'm really excited to join you guys again on the air with chat about each and every one of these big matches. We've got, again, the tag title match of the women's division. Sadly, no representation tonight. Punk versus Drew. This is in a strap match, so this will be a little bit different to what we saw last month. No Seth involved this time as a ref. Randy Orton's trying to get his 15th world title against Gunther. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. And Cody Rhodes is defending his title against Kevin Owens as well. The Terror Twins are going up against their former buddies in the form of at least Dominic Mysterio. Guess they're never really that close to Liv Morgan. Although Rhea wasn't a tag team with Liv Morgan, so there is that as well. Carmen says he's with his sister, and his sister says hi. Well, hello to Carmen's sister, whether you are Bianca or you are not Bianca. Either way. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Bianca tomorrow, of course, again, in that tag title match. It's a real shame that she's not been used tonight. But I'm glad to see this match on the PLE. And surely at some point, one of these two are going to turn on each other, right? And I think it should be Jade. I'd love to see Bianca be a heel again. As I mentioned earlier on, her NXT run is kind of the greatest, the best, the fastest, and all that stuff. EXT of NXT as it was at the time. That's the kind of character, just like CM Punk, that you can turn into a heel or a babyface. Because it's in one way going, oh, you're good for being good, or you're good for being, straight edge or whatever it is. But when they're heel, it's like, oh, how dare you rub that in my face, So it's, again, two very good characters that you can use on either side of the coin. So once again, Bash in Berlin is not long, not far away now. Really looking forward to this show. Loving the fact that we're still getting these international PLEs. Again, a lot of rumors lately that next year we might get Italy. So that'll be good. Bianca says hi. That's great. That's great. Thanks for that. 20 minutes away from the end of the show, guys. Let us know what you think is going to happen tomorrow at Bash in Berlin. Do you think anything that happened tonight is going to affect that? Oh, here we go. So we've got some reference here, at least, to the tag title match. All right, so Bianca and Jade very much hyping themselves up and saying it's all right to have a setback, but, we'll get back to the top eventually. And I do feel like it's very likely. I think they're going to win the titles again. Fyre and Dawn, I think, were great to get that in Scotland, but I think now it's about giving it back to them to either do what they were going to do eventually before that call was made, or not do that, and one of them turns on the other. And I do think, again, it's more likely to be Jade turning. But to do it in Berlin, I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's uncharted waters, right? That we have these PLEs. Not every big surprise is going to happen in America, right? So if it's just if this was a normal PLE in America, I'd be, I think, way more open to a potential turn here. But you think, it kind of has to fit with the theme of the show, and because it doesn't, maybe not. But that's not the case, If this was in Indianapolis or Jacksonville, you know what I mean? It would be fair game. So we'll see. I think they need to do something like that, if I'm honest, because we're starting to get into that, again, feeling that some of these shows are very special and some of them are glorified house shows when they go abroad. So this needs to be treated like a normal PLE. So we need to see some progression in some of the storylines at least. And a surprise would help it. So once again, Michael Cole's hyping up the Countdown show because we apparently need to see an interview with, who was it earlier you mentioned that? I think it was on the kickoff show. He talks about, might have been Punk. I know it's Randy Orton there. It was. So we'll see what he's got to say. Well, here we go. It's now time for the main event. Just over 15 minutes left, and we've got Nia Jax in the ring. We haven't even had the interest for meeting yet. So, and this is kind of a gimmick match stipulation here. It's a street fight. So you imagine this is going to be the end of the show. Okay. All right. So promo to the camera from Michin, who is walking through Gorilla now with a trolley as if she's Raven, which I have a lot of appreciation for. This was like the kind of thing where you'd expect this person to win the title. And that would be a great moment in Germany. But again, Nia's only just won it. I don't know about that. Surely the whole story with Tiffany will play into this title reign. Yeah, it's interesting, right? But cool to see it. Nisha being presented in this way. And as much as I'm like, oh, this is weird because we haven't got the tag title match being kind of spoken about in ring. We had that promo, and it's weird that we haven't got Gunther ending the show. This is cool. Like a street fight should be in the main event, but it's just odd because I feel like usually with these kind of wrestlers in it and not related to the PLE, it would be halfway through the show. If it was a house show, at least, unless it was like two people in the main event picture of the men's title, you don't usually see this in the main event. So to have two win in the main event, pretty cool. To close SmackDown, yeah, pretty cool. It just was, again, somewhat out of place being that it's an international go-home show for a PLE. Feels like there's more to do leading towards the bigger picture this weekend. But again, if you see this as the pre-show to the PLE, then this maybe being deserving to be on the PLE, but maybe bumped down to the pre-show on the night. You could therefore picture that. So maybe we could picture it being the main event for what feels like, again, a pre-show. Oh, my goodness. Michin just hit a kind of head scissors, almost Hurricane Runner, but Nia's face just splattered into the floor from the ropes. That was a bit scary, that, but cool. All right, so Carmen's letting us know that someone's going to come help Bianca, but Bianca's also going to help Cody, Kevin. And help, bro. Okay, what is going on? Oh, you're pranking. All right. I get you. We want tables, don't we, guys? Another table attempt by Michin. And another bloody break. What is this about, man? Well, anyway, we're back on a break, guys. Thank you to everyone that's joined us tonight. Again, we don't usually do watch-alongs for the weekly shows, but we do them every now and then for international shows and classic PLEs as well. The main thing you can expect from Rebellious Noise is our build-up shows on the night of PLEs. We'd love to kind of break down all the latest rumors and predict the event overall and get ourselves in the mood for the PLE as well as yourselves as well. And then after that, the show is off the air and we come back on air with the instant reaction review. So we'll be doing the same here for Bash in Berlin as well. But if you haven't already, go check out our predictions. We uploaded those a few days ago now, but also in the form of shorts. If that's more your bag, go and check that out. If you also are going to look to watch the kickoff show, then why not watch it with us? We did a watch-along stream earlier on where we broke down all of the promos that we saw on stage outside the Uber Arena. If you haven't already, please check that out as well. We've also had the opportunity in the past to interview WWE talent such as Shayna Baszler, had great conversations with the likes of Santos Escobar. But then if you want to go a little bit deeper into our thoughts and opinions on the product, then you can see our videos on this channel, such as what made Rey Mysterio a Hall of Famer, and also a watch-along of Royal Rumble 2013, where, of course, we had The Rock majorly featuring in that one. Will we see him come back soon? I think so. He's still got a lot of scores to settle in the WWE, of course, with Cody Rhodes, now Roman Reigns as well, which is a bit awkward now that he's a babyface, but we'll see how that goes. Speaking of The Rock, though, we've got a great watch-along on this channel as well, focusing on a big part of his career, really, where he kind of handed the torch over to Brock Lesnar in 2002. But bringing it back to interviews, we've got some great content on this channel as far as chats with the likes of Damian Priest, Matt Riddle, and Finn Balor as well. As I mentioned earlier on, I'm joining you live from London. It's not just me here tonight, though. Lucas has been hopping in and out with content from the Uber Arena as well. He's live over there in Berlin, and he'll be with us tomorrow, sending over some content for us in our build-up show as well. So a big shout out to Lucas and a big thank you to him for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed his updates from the Uber Arena in Berlin. Coming back to SmackDown, though. Michin versus Nia Jax in a street fight. Just a reminder of tonight's results. We've had Ludwig Kaiser answer the open challenge to LA Knight but lose. Los Garza beat Corbin and Apollo Crews in the tag match. We did also have the segment between Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes, which got a little bit more personal than previous. And we just saw a great match between Andrade and Carmelo Hayes, where Hayes picked up the victory. I think taking it to 2-2. So there's got to be a fifth match at some point. And you'd imagine on the PLE, but probably not. Tornado DDT denied by Nia Jax. Michin thrown onto the garbage can there. But she's got the lid. And she's making use of it now on Nia. 2 lids. They make a good noise, don't they? It's so weird that the cameras change so little now. That camera change there felt a lot. You know, since production has changed, since Kevin Dunn has left, that feels like a lot. So there was a bit of an awkward spot there. Michin tried to do a tornado DDT, slipped, and just went for it again. Second one worked out well, all right, but thank you to everyone that's joined us once again tonight, guys. Really, really appreciate you. Thanks for the comments as well. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Lots of content coming your way, not just the stuff in the past or the back catalogue of interviews, but also this weekend for Bash in Berlin, as we say. Michin setting up the table now. Oh! Michin throws Nia through the table there with a power bomb from the top rope. Oh, Tiffy top. No. No way. All right, she's hit Michin with it. Is she cashing in? She's looking at Nia. Do it! Do it! Oh! She set up, not quite like Michael Myers, but enough to put the fear into Tiffy, who has now laid her on top of Michin, who kicks out. Tiffy, what have you done? You've ruined your opportunity here. What's this? Bailey. Okay. All right. Well, I guess good for the babyface to even things up, but I wanted a moment, guys. That would have been good. I mean, we all felt it, right? It's coming. It's coming, guys. It's coming. Tiffany is going to cash in on Nia, surely. But then that may waste it because we've had that feeling. I don't know. Hey, Bailey's on. Oh. There's no way Michin's winning now. No way. Ooh. Ooh. Samoan dropped through the table. That's it. Surely. Drag her out of the tables. Set her up in the corner. Again, it feels like that's what you want to see, right? Tiffy turn, but is it wasted if... Oh! It's over. Squished the trash can for sure. Man. It was just... I just threw part of the table and a bin lid at Michin, and now whacking the trash can with a kendo stick as well. Go on, Nia. Show them what you mean. Cool. A fun ending to SmackDown. It doesn't make me want to watch Bash in Berlin. Luckily, I want to do that anyway, but you usually expect these go-home shows to do that, and that's not what the end of this show does. But if you look at it again, as I say, as this kind of pre-show to Bash in Berlin, then like it was a good ending. It was a good show. It was a good SmackDown. I do think that's what these shows are now. I do think that's what they are. These SmackDowns before PLEs are simply ways to kind of get people performing in front of that crowd, like the pre-show used to be. But yeah, either way, a good show. I don't know if Tiffany Stratton cashing in on Nia is going to be as much of a surprise if it happens in the future, because, you know, we were just kind of sort of given that already, even though she didn't do it. The moment of people going, oh, this is it. They'll have in the back of their mind this moment. So I'm not sure. Unless it's on a PLE, I guess that can make all the difference. But anyway, that has been our SmackDown watch along, guys. Really hope you enjoyed the show. Not only our show, but of course SmackDown itself. If you didn't enjoy SmackDown, I hope you at least enjoyed our show. It was a good time, though. I think the main event was a pretty fun one. Nia Jax versus Michin was good. LA Knight's Open Challenge, of course, ended up being taken up, as we would imagine, by the German Ludwig Kaiser, and I think that was a good match as well. We also got to have Lucas joining us from the Uber Arena, which was nice, wasn't it? It was really good to have his kind of input for the show, being there in person at the event itself. But we're hoping to do more of the same tomorrow, guys. We're going to be back again for the build-up show, as we mentioned, and we're also going to be back for the instant reaction review. But with the build-up, the idea is to get us and you in the mood for the PLE. That's what we do for every PLE, and it's some of our most fun streams on the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. And then, of course, once the show is over and done with, the main WWE show that is, we are coming back at you with a review for that show with our instant reaction podcast as well. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to get those. Look back in our archive if you've heard things about the kickoff show and you want to watch it anyway, then we'd love it if you use us as your companion. We filmed a watch along for that earlier on tonight as well. But as I said, we also have some great content in our archive, such as watch alongs for classic events like Survivor Series 2012, interviews with the likes of Selena Vega, and also debates about the best and worst WrestleMania logos. Isn't that fun? So thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really do appreciate you. I hope to see you tomorrow night. And also, again, thank you for those that joined us on the stream earlier this afternoon with the kickoff show as well. I've been Scott. This has been a Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Lucas has been sending us some fun content from Germany. And we hope to see you again tonight, tomorrow night, for Bash in Berlin. Thanks very much. See you there.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.